Welcome back. Well, it's time to look at one of our national teams. Now, Trey, I tell you what, the Sixers aren't nearly as good as these Slurpees right now. They are having a serious rough day right now.
They are a disappointment for a guy who averages more tweets per minute than points per game.
Tweets are solid, though. Keep it up.
They are solid. The big man, Joel Embiid, suffered another setback in his rehab, looking like a bust at this point to fans. Angela Santoro stands by with more.
Thanks, guys. Now, I thought that this week's show would have been all about Jahlil Okafor's debut in the Utah Summer League, but today, the Philly Inquirer's Keith Pompey broke the news that Joel Embiid will undergo his second surgery, and that's who we actually have joining us tonight. Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Amongst all of the madness going on right now, both in Philly and in Vegas for the second round of Summer League that started yesterday, but today around 1:15 p.m. this afternoon, you posted an article breaking Twitter about the news of Embiid's second surgery, and not only that, that he's likely to miss this upcoming season. Now, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but if you're the Sixers, where do you go from here?
The next step is he's going to have this surgery. They're going to decide if he's going to have the surgery in New York or in North Carolina. From there, the Sixers, what they tend to do is rest their players or make sure that their rehabilitation process is extremely long. With that being said, last year he was sort of healthy and he missed the entire season. With him coming off of the surgery, it's doubtful that he will play at all this year. Now, there are some people who believe that in addition to not playing this year, he probably could have a career-threatening injury.
Well, I think it's kind of scary to think that Embiid moved to the United States when he was only 17 years old to play basketball. And just 4 short years later, he's now undergoing his second surgery without playing even in one game in the NBA. So do you think that this could go back to the fact that he did start playing basketball at an older age and that his body, and in this case specifically, you could say his bones are not accustomed to this type of wear and tear?
Right now, he's carrying a lot of weight. He's not fat. He's really muscular, but he put on probably at least 60 pounds. I think that weight gain that he's carrying and the fact that he's a big guy, it seems like, whenever they get injured, it takes longer for their bones to heal. So that's the problem he has to deal with the running up and down the court on the hardwood, the jumping, the this and that. That particular bone, whenever it gets broken, takes longer to heal just because it doesn't get enough blood flow to it, and that's why it's going to be career-threatening.
Well, looking forward and into the future for this organization, what does this mean for the Sixers, and do you think that this puts some more pressure on Okafor to perform?
I'm not going to say it puts pressure on him because he seems like a guy who's dealt with pressure before, and you have to face it. He's been in the national spotlight a lot longer than Joel Embiid has, so he's used to it. But what it does is it kind of says like the next man up, so to speak. I mean, I will say, according to sources, that Sixers weren't really banking on Joel playing this year. I mean, it was one of those things like if he played, they were happy with it. But I get the sense that it was all about the Noel and Jahlil Okafor show.
Well, it will definitely have to be Nerlens and Okafor stepping up. Keith Pompey from the Philly Inquirer, you broke Twitter this afternoon with that news, and now you're here with us tonight on DSI. Thank you again for taking the time to just talk with us about this. Now, Spencer and Trey, I get that the Sixers have Okafor, so there's no need to worry, but for me, this is still a bad situation. You have a guy who's supposed to be the face of your franchise, and now he's not able to play for the second year in a row. It's just not a good sign, and if this career-ending injury is actually, in fact, true, I'm going to say it, and you guys heard it here first. Look for Embiid to buy a soccer team and build his career in that way, and that is from the man himself, and that is not a joke. But, guys, in all seriousness, what do you think that this will do to the Sixers in their upcoming season?
Leave it to Angela to somehow bring soccer into the story right now. Like, she's the only one that can make that transition.
Of course.
I tell you what, obviously, hope for the best for him. You hate to see a young man like that has this opportunity kind of just straight from him, everything that he has right there. But the fact is, this is crippling for a franchise. They're already in the pits. They're already all the way down there right now. But if he doesn't play, if he doesn't show some signs of it, the worse than him not playing is the fact that they won't be able to trade this guy. He's going to be dead weight. No team's going to take a gamble on him after 2 years. So they wasted a 3rd overall pick, and there was a lot of good talent in that draft that they passed up on. It's a tough situation. Obviously, luckily, some team called the Lakers, which I'm still upset with, decided to pass on a guy coming out of Duke I was pretty excited about. And so we got a lot to work on, but I think Philly has a couple pieces in place, but I mean, if they don't get Embiid, if he doesn't get right, that is a huge blow to the franchise.
Well, the thing with Embiid is, one thing you don't like seeing with big guys, injury-wise, is a foot. You know what I mean?
Foot and back, two things.
Foot and back, knee, kind of thing, are kind of things they never grow out of. I'm not going to call this guy a bust yet. Obviously, when they talked about rehab, I said it to you, his whole career's been rehab. What do you mean he's going to rehab? You know what I mean? But some fans, I feel like, are going to be turning on him here in these next coming months. He better get ready for it, for what he's about to go through, because being the 3rd overall pick, you are expected to go in there, step in right now and produce. And this is his 2nd year on the bench, on Twitter, going crazy and not producing. 0 points a game throughout his career, obviously. But it's just not a good situation.
I have a tough time calling guys bust that have their career in because of injury. If he didn't get that opportunity, I look at more bust. But either way, it's a disappointment at the end of the day for this team, especially, I mean, where it's headed right now, where it looks like it's headed anyway.
Philly fans are excited to get Okafor now.
Yeah, definitely. That looks like a brilliant pickup. All right, it's time for our last commercial break, but coming up next, it's time for what you have all been waiting for, the big finish with the drum roll. It's time for our top plays of the week.
Hi, I'm Blair Yasko. I'm from Stephen Decatur High School, and you're watching the Marble Sports